Hey everybody, welcome back to the Half Hour of Power. I am Joe. Brandon is here.
Yo, Joe, what do you know?
Hey Brandon, how you doing? You having a good week?
No, I'm not.
I didn't think so. Talking to you earlier about the movie we were going to do, it didn't sound like you were in a very good mood.
No, I'm highly, really disappointed. And I had big hopes for this movie.
You and I hope so. Where you? Okay, so we are going to do Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 Francis Ford Coppola movie.
Unfortunately.
Now let's go into the Rotten Tomatoes first before we get into more.
Okay.
There's Jesse and I have done a lot of talking about this movie. We've talked about this quite a bit. Um, so this will be your first time on the show talking about this.
Yep.
So, what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes say?
Uh,
Critic score.
Critic score. Um, at the time, it was a hot movie, so um, I'm gonna say 69,
77.
70. Really?
That's right.
Hmm.
What do you think the audience thinks about this?
Well, it was a big movie, so I'm gonna say 90, 95.
Oh, you sitting down?
It, huh?
Are you sitting down?
Sure. Yeah.
79.
What? Well, I thought that was the movie to beat all movies. It had a hot cast in it. You had Keanu Reeves, you had Winona Ryder, you had Sir Anthony Hopkins. Let me say it correctly. You
That's
know,
right.
you had crap. What's her name? I was getting ready to call him by his Harry Potter name. Gary Oldman's in it. I was getting ready to call him. Um, damn, I can't even think of his Harry Potter name.
You were not going to call him Sid Vicious?
No, I was gonna call him. I can't say his name. Wow.
Sid Vicious from Sid and Nancy. You weren't going to call him that?
No. Sirius Black. That's his name. There we go. All right. For all you Harry Potter fans out there, I do know my Harry Potter. Just right now, this movie kind of just messed me up.
And for all you Sex Pistols fans, he was in the movie Sid and Nancy and played Sid Vicious.
Wait. So it was a movie before? Because they just did something like that on Hulu.
Absolutely. So yes. It's funny because I remember when this movie was coming out and we were all kind of anticipating it, and my friend said, "Yeah, Gary Oldman's in it," and I said, "Oh, okay. What has he done?" Well, he was Sid Vicious in Sid and Nancy, and he was in JFK.
Was
And
he?
at that, yeah, he played Lee Harvey Oswald.
Wow.
And at that point, I hadn't seen either one of those movies, so I got those before this.
Hmm. I mean, Gary Oldman is a great actor. Everybody in this movie is a great actor and actresses. So um,
Yes, they are, but they do make a lot of them make some odd choices. So there you got the Rotten Tomatoes says that this movie is certified fresh.
really
Isn't that one? Yeah, 77% certified fresh.
fresh, fresh like crap. But okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here we are. This is the one that a lot of people will tell you is the best film version, the closest to the book. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Now that you're going through the book, and I've forgotten, and forgive me if we've talked about this already, but is this the first time you've been going through the book, or have you done it before?
This is the first time I actually sat in. Well, the first time I tried to read the book, I wasn't engaged in it that much. But listening to the book, I'm so engaged because I'm here, and it helps because I had watched the movies, even though trying to figure out which one follows the book, but the book gets more and more, and I don't understand how they can't film this book. it's literally broken down for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's really not that hard, as we were talking about on the last show, as we were covering the 1977 BBC version.
Hmm. Hmm.
It really isn't that hard.
It's
I
not.
think people keep seeing a lot of stuff in there that I don't know. You can see basically you can kind of see whatever you want in some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at this quote here, and I got to admit, I thought this movie was amazing when I first saw it. Now, this came out in 1992. I was a teeny bopper. I went out with my best friend to go watch this movie. I read the novel before this movie came out. And I was like, this is going to be it. This is going to be this book. Um, and one of the things I remember about that night was we went to the Fazoli's drive-thru and got a pizza through the drive-thru.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've never done that again. Shouldn't have done that. But anyway, we saw the movie and we both loved it. Thought it was amazing. Over the years, I've kind of, my opinion has changed quite a bit about this movie. Now,
Right.
visually, this movie is stunning.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh.
the effects. I think the score. I like most of the costumes. Not Dracula's, but I like most of the costumes, and they're very good. It's very well done. So here is Mr. James Hart, the screenwriter. James V. Hart has some of the oddest quotes I've ever read about this. So, and if you want to hear more about this, we go more into this on the comparison show. Now, I did notice that I did mistitle the comparison show when I put it up. It's just called Throwback Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it's actually a comparison show. Maybe I should go back and fix the title. What do you think? Should I just go fix that title?
Yeah, you might want to do that.
I'll go back and fix that title. But that show compares the Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 film, with the Dan Curtis Dracula. Now, what year was that Dan Curtis Dracula, Brandon? Was that 1974? Am I? I'm just trying to think about it off the top of my head. What?
I want to say it was because.
Oh, I better find that.
No, you got to find it. I think it was 78.
Let's see. Let us see. And is that one called Dracula?
It was called, it was just called It was called Dan Curtis Dracula. Original title. Original title was
it was
Stoker Dracula, but
that's right. That's right.
That was the original title. And to me, this Bram Stoker's Dracula is nothing but a remake.
Okay, so 1974 was that movie.
What'd I say, 8?
Yeah, 78. So that one came out before the BBC version. Came out in 1974. Dan Curtis was the director. He is probably best known for Dark Shadows. And we're going to get more into this later, but I just wanted to lay some of the groundwork here. The screenplay writer is Richard Matheson. And again, I say this all the time. If you don't know who Richard Matheson is, turn this off and look him up and read some of his books. Not you, Brandon, because you know Richard Matheson.
I didn't say yes. I didn't say nothing.
I know you didn't say nothing, but you can say, yeah. All right. So James V. Hart. I've got this book. When I was a teeny bopper, I bought this book. And it is the shooting script of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Got a lot of nice, fun tidbits about the making of the movie. So pretty much anybody who liked the movie and is interested in making the movie, it's a good book to have. So here is a fun quote. And are you ready for this, Brandon? You ready?
I'm ready.
I first read it. He's talking about the book. I first read the book Dracula on a plane from France to New York in April of 1977. One scene I found so intensely erotic, so diabolically evil, that I passed out right in my foie gras. back home in New York. That night, I became so overwrought while reading that book that I threw it into my wardrobe and I slammed that door. Later that night, around 2 a.m., my wife awoke to my face leering over her, watching the jugular pump seductively on her neck. I was hooked. Yeah, just let that sink in for a little bit. What do you think about that, Brandon? That's a little much. That's bull crap. There is no way you passed out on a frickin' plane reading that book.
No, he made that up.
Yeah, shenanigans. I call shenanigans. You know, he had to, he's just writing here in the beginning of the book about him wanting to make the movie. You know what? And I can't, he is right at the time. Nobody had really made Dracula right. But I've read that book, and I've talked about this a few times. I have never thrown the book. I never become overwrought reading the book. And I've never wanted to go and bite my wife's neck open by reading this book.
Yeah, he was over dramatic.
So, thank you for that there, bud. Thanks for putting that in there. You could tell the real story about it. But anyway. And he's got another quote in here. I have always seen Dracula as an epic, sweeping romance.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So me being, listening to the book and everything, you don't hear, no, only romance you hear about is Nina and Jonathon and Lucy and her 3 suitors. That is it. You have nothing to do with Dracula falling in love with anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about that, okay, so obviously, if you guys haven't seen this movie, this one ties Dracula to Vlad Tepes, the very first one to ever do that.
No.
Isn't that right, Brad? It's the very first one to ever do that, right?
Yeah, it was the very first. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. It has Dracula go after his reincarnated love. Oh, very first one to ever do that, right?
Nope.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
But you know why? Because of the love story. That's why they had to come up with some.
Yeah. So there was a. Now I'm going to ask you this, because you've seen the Dan Curtis Dracula very recently, right? For the first time.
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
And we'll go into this a little more. We'll go into this more in depth when we get onto that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But after watching Dan Curtis's Dracula, do you find it plausible that James V. Hart never saw that movie?
No, he saw that movie. he had that movie. Let's see what it came out in 74. His quote that he said back in 1977.
Yeah, he says he read the book in 77. Okay, now here I'm going to say this again. I said this on the comparison show.
Yeah.
It doesn't really bother me so much that he really was like that part of the Dan Curtis movie and was like, I want to put that in my movie. What bothers me is he says he came up with it.
Right.
He doesn't say, hey, I saw that. I was inspired by that. I like that. I thought we could use that in my version. I thought it would be a nice window or whatever you want to call it into the novel. I thought it'd be good in cinematic. Doesn't say anything like that. I've never found him say any quote like that.
He literally,
if you would just say something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
that's fine. It's fine. We're filmmakers all the time are inspired by each other. Creative people are inspired by each other, and sometimes we'll say that, and sometimes, like James Cameron does all the time, he'll say he made this up himself. I couldn't help myself. There's another James I got to talk about, but anyway. All right, so let's go to the beginning of this thing here. But did you have anything to add about that?
Yeah, he copied. He took some big things from that movie and added it into this movie. It's this proof in the pudding. I mean, from a person who didn't know about that movie and now seeing that movie, watching it, it's you can tell parts came from that movie that's in this movie, hands down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, okay, so like we said, this ties into the historical Dracula. This movie opens up with Vlad doing a nice battle there right outside his castle.
Blood the Impaler. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a true story from Vlad that his wife, his true love, thought that he was dead and threw herself out into the river.
Yeah, she did commit suicide. Yeah.
So that is a true story, and I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So then he comes back and finds that she's dead, and the priest is a jerk face. He's just like, "She's going to hell forever. She's a suicide."
Yeah, that was really, really deep back in the
Good,
day.
good work there, priest.
Yeah. No comforting, no nothing.
That's right. Just like, she's damned. She's so. But anyway, that makes Dracula so angry that he basically willed himself to be a vampire.
Well, I'm sorry. The thing is, it's something I'm coughing at every show, and I feel like I'm turning into a vampire the more and more I keep watching Dracula. I'm
Well,
feeling,
your intake is this Dracula movie, and you need to get it out.
we're gonna say that because I'm, oh my god. So my question is, so the way how he gets turned into a vampire is he stabs the cross, blood shoots out, and he drinks the blood, and it turns into a vampire.
Yeah, basically he renounced God, and I guess that's kind of a baptism for him.
Right.
And he becomes a vampire, and I don't really know why he wanted to do that.
Yeah. Right.
Become a vampire. I don't know if that was what he wanted. I don't know if this movie is trying to say he's the first vampire. I don't know because he's only been around since 1460 something. If he's the first vampire, but anyway, if you accept, always thought that bit was kind of weak how he became a vampire in this movie. I mean, even when I was a dumb little teeny bopper, I thought that was a little bit weak.
Right.
What did you think of that?
That was dumb and confusing. Because I mean, you stab a whole cross that's been in your chapel forever. You stab across, and all of a sudden, blood just shoots out of it. And then you grab a cup and start drinking the blood from the cross. I mean, I don't understand the significance of that.
That's right. I mean, if I stabbed a cross with a sword and blood fell out of it, I would immediately want to drink
Right.
it.
It
And that
was,
would be my very first thought. I was like, well, there's blood flowing out of it. I better drink that.
yeah, it's nutritious.
It must be. So I don't know. I guess he must have felt that it was a bit of a baptism. It was a bit of this. I mean, okay. So you get to the next scene, and this I thought was kind of interesting because this is from the 1977 BBC version. This scene, they do this in the BBC version, where Harker is leaving and saying goodbye to Mina.
Oh yeah.
But I can't remember. I just watched this. There's a lot to try to remember. But the other thing that they do in this that is not in the book, and Mr. Hart says this is the book, and it's not. I'm going to keep reminding everybody that. And you know what? If you are one of the listeners who's like you love Bram Stoker's Dracula and you think it is the closest to the book, you go right ahead and keep thinking that because this is all opinion. This is just my opinion. As for whatever we're gonna get Brandon's opinion here. He's gonna reveal his opinion more and more. So
Yeah, it's
I
actually.
just I just think we all just need to remember that.
I mean,
So
like you said, Joe, it's our opinion, and to me, he did in the movie. They touched on certain key points, the little bitty niches. I do give them that, but the rest of it,
yeah, there's a lot that they got right, a lot that they did. But after watching the '77 BBC version and just seeing how easy it is to get some of those things in there,
Mm-hmm.
it just blows my mind as to how they couldn't put it in this one, which is supposed to be the one.
The one that
Yeah,
follows.
I mean, they just spend so much time on silly crap, and we'll get over there to it. But one of the other major things they change is they change Renfield quite a bit.
Yes.
They make him a celebrity, go to Dracula's castle and go nuts, and he comes back and ends up in the asylum. Now,
Right.
in the book, you never know why he's there. You don't really know anything about him. You don't know if when Dracula got there, he got to, he sensed a weak mind and somebody that could help him. You don't know any of that. It's kind of left for you to decide.
Yeah, because it kind of left it where he knows of Dracula, but you just don't know how or when, because he even said Master is coming. Like, well, how?
Yeah,
There's nothing in the book that you met him before. Only thing he promised me
yeah,
eternal. Like, okay, like, but they don't ever reference like how he got that way. I mean, yeah, Bela Lugosi's Dracula that had Renfield in it. You can kind of tell what happens, and then you have um, think of the name of it,
mm-hmm.
Count Dracula with Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. It's I mean, I just felt like, especially in this movie, that was unnecessary to do that.
hmm
So let's go to the opening. How's the opening of this movie? And what I mean is, how is when Harker gets to Dracula's castle? How is that?
okay, so the carriage ride part was weird because they did it like it did in the book. The two carriages met up, well, kind of met up, and the driver, I don't know what the heck he had on his head, but like a big old crow's head, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he was dressed in some weird armor outfit, helmet thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and then he reached out and he literally grabbed Jonathan and put him in there.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the cool things in this movie. I think is, and that's why I have a bit of a love hate relationship with this movie. There's really a lot to really like about this movie, and namely the visuals, the way they do that, the way Dracula stretches out forever like that, and he's able
Yeah,
to just do that, and the way gravity and the laws of nature work when Dracula is around, I thought was really, really well done in this movie.
yeah. And then the other thing that I liked about the opening scene was they did the blue flames,
Yes.
which that was pretty nice that they put that in there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool they did that. Now, here we go. He's going to get to the castle and meet Dracula.
Oh boy.
Here we go with this. Here comes Dracula.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got his hair up in a bun.
Two boobies on his head. Yeah.
Yeah, two buns. It's like he was trying to make his hair up like Princess Leia, but messed it up. He's wearing some weird red outfit.
He's wearing the coat of arms of Dracula.
You know, I just don't know. He doesn't have a mustache. He's old. He starts out old. All right. That's good. He's got the hair on his palms. Okay.
See, that's what bugged me. You can do the old man, the pale skin, the long fingers, the hair in the palms, but you couldn't put a mustache on.
Yeah, you couldn't do the mustache and you couldn't give him the correct clothing. You couldn't
Right.
do that? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they figured that he couldn't wear the black outfit because well, this is Vlad Tepish, and that means we have to change it. And we have to give him this outfit.
Well, also too, they did have the lantern. They did do the
He
lantern.
did.
They did
He
do the
did. Yeah. And you do get to see fun play with shadow in that.
yeah.
And I do like the way what Gary Oldman did with his voice and the way he spoke. I thought that was neat. I thought that was good. Um,
That Beagle Carpathian voice.
yeah, I mean, I thought he did a good job with his voice in that. What do you think about that?
Oh, he did great. He did great with that.
Yeah. So yeah.
I didn't like it when over the top stuff though. That was just the
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. A lot of over the top stuff. That's like,
I
why can't you just do? Why can't you do it? So
don't
I don't understand. I don't understand why they couldn't just dress him right. If you want to put some coat of arms on his outfit, okay, make it. You can have a black suit with a gold thing on his outfit or something. You know, you can give him a mustache.
Oh no, you know what, Joe? We need to apologize. They did give him a mustache when he was younger.
Yeah, when he was younger, sure, sure.
Yeah, that's when you put the
It did.
mustache.
Yeah, I mean, he has a mustache in the opening of the movie when they show him in his armor and he's
He
fighting. He
has a
does
whole
have a mustache. And
beard.
he has a beard, yeah. But then later on, when they're getting to stuff that's in the book, they just ignore that.
Yeah, that one part.
Okay, so I mean everything else is pretty much the same. You don't get any of the wolf stuff in this, you know. So the carriage was never there were never wolves around there. Harker never tries to run out and leave, and Dracula doesn't call the wolves in that way
No,
in this. But you get the wives. So and it's kind of I'm not really sure how long Harker is there. It kind of feels like it could be one night. It feels like it could be a week. It could be I don't remember if Harker even said how long he'd been there. Um, but he goes and sees the wives, and wow, what do you think of the wives?
they were so beautiful. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. It was so beautiful. Oh, yeah, that scene. Well, you know, it was one wife that kind of threw me off, like she was stuck together.
yeah. When they backed off when Dracula came in, and they were like just stuck together like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a pretty good scene. It kind of was like,
but
wow, that must be what vampire women must do to seduce a dude.
but you don't see them. You don't see that no more. Like she has snakes in her hair, but then when he gets
Yeah,
pull the
he's
out,
hallucinating in spots and sees like she has snakes in her hair, or her hair is snakes. I don't know.
I don't know. I just saw snakes in her hair.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I was sitting there like, okay, so where did she go? Because there's three women. I don't see a one attached to another woman, and they're all eating a baby, and that was it.
Yeah, so you got the baby bit there when they're talking about you have never loved, you know, that stuff's in the book, of
Of course,
course. And he gives them the baby, and of course this one does not do the peasant woman coming looking for her baby. It doesn't do that, but they do have the baby. And uh, fast forward just a little bit because I don't remember. I don't think this is in the book at all. That Dracula leaves and he leaves the wives to eat Harker. Is
no,
that in there? Is it?
no, it's not. No,
Pretty, okay, good. I was pretty sure it wasn't, but I'm like, I don't remember. So I again can't remember everything. So we try
they,
as much as we try.
no. What ended up happening was he was he was stuck in the castle. Remember, Dracula wouldn't let him leave.
Yeah,
So when Dracula left, they left him in the castle. So the brides, they never touched him. So he ended up escaping by jumping out.
that's right. Okay.
But they
So he
never,
pretty much escapes the same way. And you know, you got the shaving scene that's in there, the mirror breaking scene, and all throughout these bits, it's just a visual delight seeing what happens with shadows and what happens with
well,
lighting and other things like that. But they do get this bit right where he wants him to write letters.
yes.
Um, but I don't remember if he's trying to correct his speech, you know, or talk about I want to be able to assimilate into the country I'm moving to.
He
Does that happen? Does he say any of that?
he does mention something like that, but it wasn't in that deep.
Okay. Now the other bit is, and this is where I think it all falls apart because I never can understand. So his plan to move to England is in motion.
Yes.
How in the heck does he know he's going to get the solicitor there who just happens to be getting ready to marry his reincarnated love? Is that just like a happy accident? You know what I mean? He's like sees the picture, and most of the other movies, it's just, oh, she's very pretty. You're a very lucky little man. But in this
Well,
one, he's
well,
like,
well,
that's Elizabetta.
well, you seem to forget. Remember his
Do for
love story?
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's like his plan is in motion. He's going to
Oh,
go do what he's going to do anyway because
well,
he already had a solicitor there.
well. The thing is, what he was planning on doing was because Jonathan asked him, he said, "Why are you buying up so many properties?"
Oh, now that's the other bit. That's not right at all.
Yeah, he's like, "Why
Jonathan is
so many properties?"
Jonathan's John, and you know this. Jonathan's firm is not handling all those other properties.
No.
He is selling in one property. Jonathan doesn't want anybody. I mean, Dracula doesn't want anybody to know what he's doing, and he talks to Jonathan in the book about, is it proper to have more than one solicitor? How can that work? And blah, blah, and that type of thing. So he
Mm,
buys other properties around London, but Jonathan doesn't know that. And that's one of the mysteries in the book that they try to solve.
mm.
Where are the rest of the earth boxes? And these earth boxes I thought were odd looking. It's like they're just like square boxes.
Yeah,
How do
that's
you lay down in that? I mean, you're just kneeling in that? What is that? I mean, every time you go into that, and you see Dracula, he's like buried in the earth. He's not laying on it. That's just what?
yeah.
It
He
just
like
okay.
sitting in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. So
You
so
just
I mean that was kind of like, so what you just need to tell the audience that Dracula has properties all over the place and you can't figure out how else to do it?
yeah. Well,
I mean, come on.
here's the funny part. When he saw the picture, then that's when he started to. Oh, it's your fiance. Oh, hmm, very pretty.
Yeah, and he knew who she was. He's like, that looks
Right.
like Elizabeth.
But oh,
So
here,
I I mean, you understand what I'm asking? It's like
yeah.
he's already going there. So if and is it now like, is this movie trying to have us believe that he knew that she was there and he lured Harker there so he could get him out of the picture and get her? I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
Uh,
Because he did have a plan. He had a plan, and he was going to do all kinds of evil stuff and make a bunch of vampires and all of that fun stuff. But he wasn't just moving there for the woman. But
right,
once he sees that that woman looks like Elizabeth, it's like his whole thing changes. So,
correct.
then we move on and we get the boat. How's the boat scene?
Trash.
You didn't like that? Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I'll take that back. Only part I liked about it was they actually went through the little note that the captain left before he died. You
Yeah,
know,
you're right about that. They do that a bit in this. They do show that this is put together from journals and letters and
hmm
logs and such. Now this night is all jumbled up. So
well, they combined it all
the
together.
the Demeter is going to
Whitby.
London there, and it is, well, in this movie it's going to London, isn't it?
I thought it was going to Whitby. Oh, wait.
I think this whole thing is in London. I don't think any of this movie is in Whitby.
Oh shit. You probably
Yeah,
now you think
yeah.
about
See, 'cause they didn't even get that part right. But and they show that Lucy is sleepwalking, but it's so. I mean, we didn't even talk about Lucy yet. How it's like
I don't
Lucy's running around saying stuff to shock people.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, like okay. I mean, I don't know. They were playing up the whole repressed Victorian at the time in this. It's like, yeah, look at that repressed Victorianism. Hey, let's show them looking at the what was that? The Arabian Nights book? What was is that what that was?
Oh, yeah, the 1001.
Yeah, let's show them looking at pornography here. Yeah, look at that. You see that? Repressed Victorianism. That's what we're talking about right there. You see that? We got that in our movie.
I think I would low key. I
Oh,
think Kuma Satra because I'm like 1001 Arabian Nights. They don't really have sex scenes like that in the book.
well, they do now in this movie. They do. So,
Let's see. It was a cover book, you know.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
but anyway, that whole night, she's walking around. She's sleepwalking. It's raining. Everybody's in the rain. They do have the escaped wolf in this movie, which is very nice because there is an escaped wolf in the book. And then Dracula, for some reason, just happens to leave the boat and find Lucy in the rain. And he says, "You know what? I think I'm going to transform into a wolf, a half wolf, half man. I'm going to hump her and bite her." I
yeah.
don't. I'm not a vampire that can do that. I don't know if I'd do that if I was a vampire.
But that was
Visually, you know what? And I mean, visually, it's very visually a good scene. But
really
that's not in the book. Well, I
I,
mean, the makeup of it is very nice.
okay. I
I
get
I question what I question whether Dracula would be humping Lucy like that.
yeah, like they was having literally full blown sex right in the middle of the garden,
Yeah, I mean, right there, right next to her house.
right? And then he says to Mina, "You don't see me."
Yeah,
You
so then Mina runs down there and he's like, "Oh, she caught me doing something very naughty. That's Elizabeth. I'm being naughty. I better use my hypnotic powers and make sure she doesn't see me. Don't see me! Don't see me like this!"
I'm a horn dog, literally.
Yeah, so she takes her back and covers her up. Now, what was nice in about that in the BBC version was the '77 version was Mina tries to put a shawl on her
Hmm.
to warm her up. And this is even in the book, and I don't know if we talked about this on that show, where she pins the shawl around her and she thinks that she pricked her neck and hurt her.
Yeah.
Well, they don't do any that. That's rarely in the movies, and they don't do that in this. And you saw how easy it was to do that.
Well, his is like right after that. She looked like she was dying anyway.
Yeah, I mean, she goes pretty quick. Now the other thing, let's back up just a little bit. Lucy is sick here already. She's got her teeth are already coming out. They do this one does have the characters right, and this one gets kudos for all that. At least it has all the characters. Now, whether they act right is up for debate.
Okay.
So you have Quincy P. Morris,
Uh huh.
who Bill Campbell, who was in the Rocketeer just a year or two before this, which I thought he did a good job as Quincy Morris. You got Arthur Holmwood. Now he never becomes Lord Godalming in this, which is an important part in the book. He doesn't. He's just Arthur Holmwood.
Yeah, because
Um,
father, I think his
uh,
father was funny.
yeah, his father passed away, and he gets the title Lord Godalming. And you have Dr. Seward.
Or
Now,
like,
remember, we were wondering because I couldn't remember if Lucy's mother was in this. Her mother is not in
mm, no, she's not.
it. Her mother is not in it. Lucy's just Lucy. So I mean, they do all of that. Now, I mean, almost immediately when Seward is examining Lucy, he's like, "Well, I better call Dr. Van Helsing."
Yeah, that was stupid too.
So he calls Van Helsing, and you got a little introductory scene with Van Helsing, and he's in one of those operating theaters and giving a presentation. So here you go. Now let's talk about Van Helsing a little bit.
That was stupid. That was so stupid.
This I don't really remember what I thought of this Van Helsing when I first saw the movie. I wasn't. I don't think I was very bothered by it. But over the years, this is a terrible Van Helsing. He is awful.
So let me clear the air real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't never know who Van Helsing was. I never knew where Van Helsing came from um, until I seen Van Helsing with
The Hugh Jackman movie?
yeah, with Hugh Jackman. Yeah,
Oh, that's
never,
okay. That's
never.
fine. Is Van Helsing introduced in the book yet that you're going through?
Yes, yes,
Oh, so now you know from the book where he's from, right?
yes. He's from Amsterdam. Yeah,
Okay, so we'll go through this. So, and and I've said this before on these Dracula shows. I'm going to say it a couple more times. Over the years, Jesse has continually told me that Van Helsing is never right in the movie.
and Jesse is correct.
Jesse is correct, and at least I think, that the closest Van Helsing we ever got, and probably ever will get to the book, is the 1977 BBC version.
And I agree because the same way that he was in the BBC movie is the same similar way that he is in the book. He's more
Yeah, and he's not perfect, but he is really,
yeah,
really the closest. And you have now on the comparison show, Jesse said that Anthony Hopkins Van Helsing is crazy. And as I rewatched this movie, Anthony Hopkins Van Helsing is just a crazy old man. He's just a nutball. He does a lot of odd things that Van Helsing would never ever do. And if you watch the making of this movie or read interviews and all of that stuff, all these people read this book. Francis Coppola had them all read this book, and they were all supposed to pull stuff out of the book for their characters and bring that to bring that to Coppola and say, "Hey, I found this for my character in the book. Can we put it in the movie?" And he would try to put it in the movie. So everything I see, the choices that Hopkins made, I don't know what book he read.
I don't think he read it.
Because there's one scene in particular that I know he would never ever there's a couple scenes really, but there's a lot, but I'm just going to pick like two. And the one scene is when Van Helsing is having dinner with Harker and Mina. And do you remember this scene when because she left, she was not there when Lucy died.
Right.
So she doesn't really know about the Bloofer lady or anything about that until they tell her. So she says, "Professor, how did Lucy die? Did she suffer?" And do you remember his reaction to that? He seemed bothered and annoyed that she asked that in this movie. And he was like, "Yes, yes, yes. She was in great pain. And I cut off her head and cut out her heart."
Yeah. Yeah. Ripped off her head.
And Harker looks at it and goes, "Professor, you don't say that." Van Helsing would never, ever say that. And if he ever slipped up and said something like that, he would be so upset that he'd done that. He would profusely apologize for that because he never wanted to do anything to upset Mina.
Yep.
And the scene where he first meets Mina is just so odd. He just shows up, and she's coming into the house, and he walks across, and he tells her who he is, and he looks at her, and he sniffs her face.
I told you.
And then he dances with her. And he says, and Anthony Hopkins says that, "I just thought that he should dance with her, and then he should smell her face because he wanted to know if Dracula's smell was on her." What? He doesn't know who that is. And in the book, Van Helsing is not. In this movie, when he gets there, he's immediately like, "Oh, it's a vampire." So we're just going to. And that's what he says. And you even see him going to do research, and he's looking through a book and reading about the historical Dracula. He doesn't know who it is. And then, you remember this scene when he's looking at that book, and then he looks up and goes, "This is the foe I have been looking for my whole life. The foe I've been seeking to fight. Like, what? You don't know it's a vampire. You don't know who it is. He's got his suspicions, and if I remember the book correctly, he doesn't really know until Mina gives him Harker's journal to read. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So in this movie, it's like puts that out of order and puts that in there, and Van Helsing does those two bizarre things. And there's many, many more things he does that is bizarre. So, Brandon, do you have any examples of this Van Helsing that you could think of that are like something he would never do in the book so far from where you're at?
Yeah. He won't be cracking so many jokes and saying so many like unruly things. Like prime example. So one, it's in the book. He does say that. He does say this. He's like Arthur goes, "I'll give her every last drop of my blood," and he goes, "Really? You really give her every last drop of your blood? Really? We'll see about that." I'm like, what? And then the part where he said, "Give me all the surgical tools that you can give me," and he's like, "For what? So I can do some beheading." I was like, wow.
Yeah, and it's like, what book did they read that they thought that should go in there? Why did Coppola allow that? And if you're an actor and you're like, this is going to be the book, I want to separate my Van Helsing from everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. The only way that he did is he made him just absolutely crazy. Peter Cushing's Van Helsing wouldn't even do that. I mean, really. I mean, even he's just a nutball. It's just he's a horrible Van Helsing, and really, I never thought I'd say this, but after doing all this research and all that, he's probably one of the worst Van Helsings I've ever seen. And Anthony Hopkins is not a bad actor. If you had given, and I think we said this on the last show, but if you had given this cast the BBC script, oh, that would be one of the most amazing Dracula movies ever. And I'm not taking away from that BBC cast because they were really good. But you take this cast, you take these effects, you make the BBC version, you've got one of the most amazing Dracula movies ever.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
But it's just so baffling and sad that this is what happens with this stuff. It's just I just don't understand it. So let's get into the love story bit
Oh god.
here. So this is really where the movie goes way off the rails, and we already said this. Some of this stuff, like I don't understand Dracula's plan anymore because he's there to seduce Mina and take him back to his castle, and that's all. So he's buying all this property around, but that's his reincarnated love. So he comes to get her. So what's he do? He takes her to the cinema.
Oh,
And
but
he's young, and he does that line again where he's walking down the street. He sees her and goes, "Oh, see me now." Hypnotizes her.
now I'm glad you brought that up. So remember when we always kept talking about, you know, Dracula when he's in front of a mirror, you know, we should see the clothes, not him, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So in that scene, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but in that scene he has the newspaper and his reflection from the window because she's in that shop. Only
yeah,
see the newspaper just flapping around. You don't see
yeah.
holding it.
You do see the newspaper, but you don't see him holding it. So
Right.
I guess our little theory about whatever he touches and holds is invisible. Also,
I guess, right? But but yeah, you're right. Like I don't know. This love story stuff is just so backwards.
yeah. So he spends a lot of time with Mina because Harker is still
Missing.
by this time he's at that convent, and they've sent a letter to Mina, but there's enough time for her to hang out with the count and talk to the count and kind of fall in love with the count, and he's just whining and dining her.
Oh, he won.
But oh yeah, yeah. So then she gets word that Jonathan is where Jonathan is, so she travels to him. And this is when Lucy dies. What do you think about it? I mean, I thought this was a really, really well done scene where they go to kill Lucy.
Okay,
Not everything about it is well done, but
so I guess I haven't got that part where she dies yet because she's still alive.
on the book, okay.
So
So you know,
was she
she
close to dying? Like she's like right there. But my thing is the whole wolf coming in and killing her.
yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, that part
I
right
don't understand.
there, and that.
Yeah, let's put that in there. So,
Yeah.
but they go down there to the crypt, and she's not there. She comes in with the little kid, and yeah, there she is. That's how they did the Bloofer lady in this.
That was weird.
And I mean, it's just I thought it was a neat scene. The way she goes back into her coffin, it looks supernatural. It looks odd. It looks, But they stake her with a metal stake.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, you remember that? And he did not say this. Van Helsing did not say he wanted Arthur to do it because he loved her the most, and he would be setting her free out of love.
No. I don't think
But
none of it was
he,
love.
no, they never see. They don't say that, and it's such a cool moments in the book like that are easy to put in movies that they just don't do.
But the funny thing about
Now
it,
after he go on.
I was gonna say the thing about it is he couldn't wait to behead her. I know that much.
Yeah, because he stakes her and immediately just chops her head right off. Van Helsing.
Yeah, that was the crazy part.
Okay, yeah. So okay, so she's dead, and then yeah. So we're getting back to the reincarnated love stuff. So she says that Jonathan can never ever know about her strange prince, right?
Hmm.
So, and it's like poor Jonathan. I mean, he's such a diligent guy. He's got a good career. He's gonna and they didn't say that he was gonna in this movie, but he was gonna inherit that firm.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, in the book, Mr. Hawkins really liked Jonathan a lot, and uh, they end up living in Hawkins' house. And Jonathan, that's going to be his firm. So it's not like he's got nothing, no prospect. He's not like Bob Cratchit,
Ah,
he's got. I mean, that would be great. He's going to get that. So poor Jonathan. But anyway, oh my gosh, this is horrible. The whole scene where she decides to become a vampire.
oh my god! That this.
Uh, this is a horrible, horrible scene. It's just so bad. They're talking about it, and they're Dracula. What does he do? He just kind of turns into mist and slips under her covers. In the book, Jonathan's in the room
Yeah, it was in
when it happened. And it was in the BBC movie that way, but she's all by herself. And where is she? She's in Seward's quarters by this point, right?
hmm
So he comes in and they do their little talking and they go, oh my God, talking about he wants to make her a vampire and she wants to be a vampire. This is so. Do, do we have to do this?
Yeah, we have to.
We have to do this.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's part of the love story. Got to do it.
But anyway, they're going back and forth about it. He's already bit her neck, and she's already drinking out of his chest. And he goes, "No, no, this cannot be. I love you too much to condemn you." And she looks up at him and goes, "Take me away from all this death. What are you talking about?
Oh my god.
Does Jonathan beat you? What? What? He's the one causing all the death." She's a little mad at him first when she finds out that he's the vampire and he's the one that killed Lucy.
Yep.
And then the vampire hunters storm in, and you get this. This is kind of neat, where they make him a giant bat, and he yells at them and says, "God is look what God did to me." And Van Helsing is wanting to debate him right then and there about how evil he was when he was alive. You tortured and impaled all those people. How dare you? You're a war criminal. Like what? What?
Yeah,
Thanks, Van Helsing.
all this, yeah, all this stuff. Like, one thing I couldn't understand is why Mina say, "Oh, I love John Harker with more all my heart," this and that. But now all of a sudden, since you are a reincarnated girl, now you start to remember the girl that you're reincarnated from, and now
Yeah,
you love. Oh, I love Dracula.
I
Oh,
love him with all my heart. So then all of a sudden she's doing something she did in the book, and it makes more sense in the book. It doesn't make any sense in the movie. When
right.
she says, unclean, unclean. Dracula, in the book, Dracula's like, grabs her, I think we talked, let's see. Okay. He grabs her, both of her hands with one of his hands and forces her to drink.
Yep. Or oh, he grabbed the back of her head, pushed it to.
Yeah, so I mean, she's like unclean, unclean, and then that's that. They run off, and okay. So we're getting to the end of the movie here finally, and there's still some things we haven't gone over, right? But anyway, you get the little vampire hunting bit is kind of neat, and it's probably, I don't know, this might be the second best that they do it, because I really enjoyed the way they did it in the BBC version, the '77. I thought that's probably the best, I think.
Yeah.
Because Van Helsing actually says they need to protect Mina, and they need to. They didn't want to upset her or anything else to exasperate her. But in this one, it's not. It's none of that. So they split up in this one, and they try to track Dracula, because they did destroy all his Earth boxes in this movie, and it was such an odd.
Way they did it because they just cracked
Yeah,
open boxes. I mean, they did the holy water. They did do
yeah,
the.
they did. And they burned it all, and yeah. So Quincy, Arthur, Seward, and we didn't even talk about Seward shooting up morphine while he's doing his journal. Okay,
All right. Yeah, he sure was.
sure, okay, buddy, all right. But anyway, that I mean that was kind of neat. They're trying. You hear Jonathan talk about it in his journal about them tracking Dracula and getting there. But finally, when they get there, they're, oh my God, there's another horrible scene we got to talk about.
Jesus. They say so.
There's a few more. Okay, so
Whole bunch
in
of.
the book, Van Helsing and Mina split up, but they're not camped outside of the castle like they are in this movie. In this movie, they're just like right outside of the castle. But
Yeah.
in the book, they're not. They're a little ways from the castle. They're close to the castle, but they're not so close to the castle that they could hit the wall. Uh, and I don't really get this. So Mina tries to deduce Van Helsing, and he falls for it for a bit.
Yeah, that part was weird.
Which I always thought that was strange, because he's just like, "Hey, right on,"
It's like,
and
yeah,
then all of a sudden he snaps out and he goes, "No, I've sworn to protect you."
yeah, he
And
wanted.
the brides come, and they finally leave. They ward them off, and they leave, and he runs in there and chops off their heads and leaves the castle, throws their heads down into the river.
That was that part right there. He didn't even stake them. He just cut their heads off.
Yeah, just chopped their heads right off. Did he burn their bodies?
Nope. He just cut the. He just left them in the casket. Just took the heads.
Leave them right there. But yeah, I mean that was a pretty terrible scene, pretty horrible. So now you get to the end, and there's another terrible scene coming up. I'm sorry, everyone. That if you've seen this movie, you
That's
just know how terrible this is.
a lot of terrible stuff in this movie.
Um, the end is pretty neat. I mean, they killed Dracula correctly in
Okay,
the
no,
way it is in the book. That's pretty
no,
good.
no, 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 no.
Wait, what did I skip?
No, no, no.
I'm skipping it. What is it?
Yes, because you seem to forget. They didn't technically kill Dracula. They just cut his throat and
Okay, I was gonna get to that terrible scene afterwards. What I'm saying is, they have the fight with the gypsies. All the vampire hunters are there.
yes,
Um, they get to Dracula. Quincy stabs him in the heart with his Bowie knife.
yes,
Harker slits his throat, and then Dracula dies in the book. That's it. But there's a little more in the movie that they got to add on,
yeah. They add that love.
at least in this movie. So, and this is very very odd. I always thought this was a very strange bit because she keeps going on about how she loves Dracula, and in the book, Mina does say that Dracula is probably the saddest soul of all. But I don't think she's meaning it. I don't think the book means it the way it's sometimes interpreted. Because most of the book, they're saying you need, like Van Helsing is saying, I want you to stake Lucy because you love Lucy the best.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that, it'll be done out of love and not out of hate. Which I don't know. I think that's pretty neat. That's really an interesting and beautiful thing.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
they
the,
seem to take that, and I kind of think that's what Lucy was saying in the book. Not Lucy, I'm sorry. Mina was saying that in the book. It's like, it must be so sad to be so hunted and a monster all the time that you don't have anything at all, and there's nobody alive now that knew you or could, do for him what Arthur did for Lucy, something like that. Well, they take it, at least this movie takes it to mean that she's in love with Dracula.
yeah, basically.
So,
I mean,
so
this.
she says something like that, and then after Lucy runs over to them and says, "Don't finish him off." And she looks at Harker and goes, "Will you do the same to me when it's my turn?" "Well, yeah, I will. I'm gonna stake you and chop your head off. Heck yeah. I don't want you to be a freaking vampire."
And that was just dumb to me.
What a stupid thing to do. So then Harker turns to the guys. "Okay, our work is done here. Hers has just begun."
Yeah.
What the what?
What was that about?
So then I guess she drags him all the way into the castle there, and they go over to the altar where he first became a vampire.
They sat and talked.
And they talk about what it was like in the old days and how great it was to be the rulers of Romania.
And she wasn't a ruler. She didn't even been there.
Yeah, and then he's finally set me free or something like that. And what'd she do then?
Oh, she stabs the knife further down till it stabs into the steps. And then she pulls it out and she cuts off his head.
Finally, he's dead. And does the movie go and show the happy reunion of everybody else?
No.
Because Quincy's passed away. He does in the book.
Yeah.
They didn't show any of that.
No. Well, they show him sitting there, bleeding to death and dying in.
Yeah, they show that, and then it's over.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I mean, in the book, Mina and Jonathon have a child and name the child Quincy.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very nice. I mean, they were all, and she talks about putting everything together. But anyway, that must be really difficult to put in a movie, that type of stuff. Just,
I don't see how, but sure.
I just must hurt people. Now, I mean, this has got a running time of right around 2 hours. It feels longer to me.
Actually, to be honest, it kind of felt short, to be honest.
Oh, you felt like it was short?
Yeah, I guess because I watched this.
Long. Yeah, so this running time that this gives is 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Uh,
I don't know. I think it felt longer to me this time just because every time I watch it, the love story just hurts me more and more, and doesn't make sense to me more and more.
I keep saying that. I do.
You do? Yeah. Okay, very good.
I hate the story.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. That I haven't said before. Just how confusing it is to me that they would make it like this and then not do what they could do. They wasted a lot of time on that love story. I mean, I don't know the full time. It feels like it's a good 30 minutes they could have cut out and not have that love story in there.
That's a lot that they could have just took out and would have focused on more on the book instead of focusing on the silly stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, Brandon, as you've been going through this journey, there's some Dracula movies you've never seen,
Yes,
Dracula movies you didn't know existed.
correct.
When did you first see this movie? Do you
I
recall?
Yeah, I was young. It was in '92 because it's when Blockbusters used to be open. Um, my mom had rented it and I had watched it, and I was young, so I was probably like what 92, so maybe 10, 11 years old watching it.
And what did you think about it then? Did you like it?
I loved it. That was my favorite Dracula movie, and I mean,
So,
still my favorite Dracula movie until to now.
oh, really? You've changed your mind? So this movie hasn't aged well for you?
No, not now. I guess more so that I'm more into the book and then watching the BBC from 77, kind of close knit to it. And the things that I am wanting to see the movie do, they didn't do. So it's kind of just like, that's why I'm sick of the love story. Like, I learned that it's not about a love story, it's totally a horror book, talking
Yeah,
about that's going around just killing people just because he wants to,
yeah,
not because he's in love. Oh, I'm in love with my reincarnated wife, or oh, I fell in love with Mina because I like her. I mean, what? And yeah, I'm just so great,
yeah. It
great,
just
great
doesn't
and
it
everything.
doesn't work.
No,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this movie hadn't aged well for me either. But and maybe people listening are like, well, gee, should do they are they recommending the movie or not? Would you recommend people watch this movie?
I'll recommend it just because of the cinematics to it, but not for the story.
Yeah, I agree with that. This movie was made. I mean, we've been saying it came out in 1992. This was like right at the beginning of all the computer effects and all the computer use in effects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Refix.
everything in this, I mean, they got Dracula climbing down the wall.
True.
They got transformations into bats, mist, giant bats, wolves, giant wolf man. They've got all of that stuff. All the stuff they did with the shadows, all the stuff they did with the vampire teeth.
Hey, you know what? One thing
None of that is enhanced in any way by computer effects. And it's just,
practical.
it's all practice, it's all in camera, it's all. So if you look at that and go, wow, they could have done all that.
Yeah. And the thing
Um,
the
and
thing
even by the time this movie came out, effects, even those practical effects, had come a long, long way.
yeah. But my whole thing
So,
is in the book, they don't never reference him as a bat.
well, yeah, but still, yeah, I think it's one of the sometimes I think some of these Dracula adaptations go, well, this is neat. People expect it. Let's put it in
Yeah. Because I
like
didn't realize that until the book, and I was like, well, wait. They keep saying a big bird-like thing. They don't never straight say that it was a bat.
yeah, yeah. But I have talked to some people who do think there are computer effects in this, and they're always amazed when like, no, aren't they? So I mean, for that in that way, this movie, I still would recommend people watch this movie. It's visually stunning. The score is really, really good. I really, really enjoy the score. It's there's a lot of stuff that it gets right from the books, but a lot of stuff that it doesn't get right. So I mean, still, it's still worth a watch, and I do still think it overall is a good movie. It just falls short in a lot of other places.
Yeah, it shouldn't claim that it's um, a good adaptation of the book.
It shouldn't claim that it is the book on screen because it's not. It's nowhere close. So I don't know where Mr. Hart went off the rails, but okay. um, yeah. So I think was that your final thought, or do
Yep.
you have any other final thoughts on there?
The one thing it's a good cinematic movie. Um, it's going through this journey. You should also watch it just to get a good idea of certain key things that was out that wasn't in other Dracula movies. But it's a good still to watch. Despite that, I don't like the story of it, but it's still something good to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't say anything more than what we said. I can't say anything better than what we said here.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you expect it to be the book, it's not. Um, I mean, if you're a movie nerd like us and you're kind of interested in how movies are made, this is a very interesting watch.
Yes.
So there you go. So we're going to come back. And oh, what is the next Dracula movie we're doing, Brandon? Should we tell everybody? I think they've picked up on it already anyway, but
Yeah.
should we just say it?
Yeah. We should just go ahead and say it. So, ow. So we're doing Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1974, which is technically we call it the Dan Curtis Dracula.
Yep. The Dan Curtis Dracula is coming up next. And with that, we're going to be really close to Halloween.
Oh yeah. Hello.
And Halloween is coming right on up. So we are really, really close. So, man, that'll be weird to be not be doing Dracula movies anymore.
Basically, I don't actually don't know what we're gonna do after this.
Yeah, we'll always come back and do some of these, some more. But yeah, so all right. I guess that's it. That's it for me. We'll we will talk to you all next time.
Later, guys.